Welcome to CBC Windsor News at 6. I'm Meg Roberts. Thanks so much for spending part of your evening with us tonight. There's a push for Windsor's council to revisit a grant application that could unlock tens of millions of dollars for the city. We hear from a councillor who says the decision was made under duress. Plus, we may be nearing the end of December, but you wouldn't know by the temperatures. We have more on that tonight, and it may not come as a surprise, but we've been butchering the way many of Windsor's streets are supposed to sound. Tonight we get a lesson on our unique pronunciation on some popular roadways. A Windsor councillor wants to revisit a recent decision on housing options that puts tens of millions of dollars from the federal government in jeopardy. Kieran McKenzie said council rushed its decision on its application for the Housing Accelerator Fund. The CBC's Dawson Chen has more.
It's been 2 weeks since a special meeting of City Council discussed the Federal Housing Accelerator Fund. Council's 8-2 vote not to change a residential zoning bylaw means Windsor can access at least $40 million in base funding and $30 million in additional funding. That money could be used for city streets, public transit, new infrastructure. Now one councillor wants another vote, saying the previous decision was made under duress.
It was indicated to us that that it was imperative that we make a decision that day. The decision-making time frame is now different, or was altered from what it was previously. So to me, that's a really important piece of the equation, and one that, given how important it is for us to be able to access these funds to address the housing crisis that's happening in our community, what I'm asking for is for council to be given another clean shot at looking at the report and coming to a decision with respect to the Housing Accelerator Fund application.
Other councillors said during the meeting that they felt like they were making a quick decision with a gun to their heads. Councillor McKenzie asked if the vote could be put off by a day and was told that any delay would put the entire funding at risk. He's since communicated with Windsor-Tecumseh's federal representative, Eric Kuzmerchek. According to their conversation, the City of Windsor still has until mid-January to become eligible for the funding. City staff told council during the meeting a decision needed to be made soon because the federal government wanted to announce the grants before the holidays. McKenzie is hopeful that council will have another shot at the matter. It would require city administration putting a report on the agenda of the next regular council meeting. McKenzie points out that the December 13th special meeting didn't provide any opportunity for public input. And Ward 2 Councillor Fabio Costante, who chairs the Windsor-Essex Community Housing Corporation, was unable to attend that meeting. Reached Wednesday, Windsor Mayor Drew Dilkens called McKenzie's claim of duress simply political theater. The mayor continued to express his reservations about changing the bylaw to allow fourplex conversion everywhere in the city, even though the current bylaw allows triplex conversion everywhere in the city.
We're not saying no to fourplexes, but what we're saying is a fourplex anywhere in the city, in any neighborhood where there's residential zoning, we're not interested in that. For us to wholesale say, you know what, we don't mind if a fourplex is now built next to you, I think that's disrespectful to people in neighborhoods throughout the city. So we try to deal with this in a sensible way. I think City Council and their majority, with the motion that they approved, have made a sensible response to the federal government, and I'm hoping the federal government respects the decisions of the Council of the City of Windsor.
Windsor City Council next meets January 15th. The agenda could be posted as early as next Friday. Dawson Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
New Year's Day marks the first anniversary of Canada's 2-year ban on foreign home buyers. The plan was supposed to help make housing here more affordable, but experts say that hasn't happened. Some say it may have even made things more expensive. CBC's Yvette Bren reports.
2-bedroom, 2-bathroom.
A year of house hunting for this couple is ending in frustration.
Outrageously priced. That you asked about the foreign buyers tax, and I don't think that's making an iota of difference.
All government levels have been trying to cool real estate prices. So far, Wallace sees no buildings she can afford.
All massive buildings that are going to, sit empty? I doubt it. They're going to sell to foreign investors who can afford to pay the tax.
Speculation taxes were introduced and expanded in BC and Ontario over the past 5 years. In January, they took it one step further with a foreign buyers ban to try to rein in prices. Realtors say all this did little to drop prices.
For the majority of home buyers, the foreign buyers tax didn't do much.
The ban aimed at non-Canadians only affected about 2% of buyers.
There are so many exemptions to the foreign buyer ban. It really didn't make any difference at all.
CBC reached out to housing ministers at every level. All refused to comment or to explain how the ban made this housing more affordable. Housing experts say Canada needs to look to places where housing has been made affordable, like Singapore. Singapore has strict bans on speculation buying and much higher taxes that pay for a whole lot of public housing.
The big exception is Singapore. They want to control the investor play in the housing market so that there is opportunity for local buyers to be successful.
This economist also sees hope in Canadian housing policy shifts around density.
Having basically one-story average on a square foot of land, when land is as precious as in Vancouver, makes no sense. Governments are starting to see that.
This used to be enclosed space.
A bit of hope, but no quick fix.
Which is frustrating for buyers, waiting for the price to come down to something, semi-realistic.
I'll give you a sheet, yeah.
So this couple's house hunt continues. Yvette Brent, CBC News, Vancouver.
Police in Windsor have arrested a man they say tried to kill a woman with his car. It happened between Riverside Drive and Ferry Street. Police say that a 21-year-old woman was walking in the area Saturday night when a man she was in a relationship with drove his vehicle into her and left the scene. The woman told police that he assaulted her earlier that day and kept her against her will. The 23-year-old man was arrested at Windsor Hospital. The woman was treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Windsor Regional Hospital wants to know what you think should be in the new mega hospital. But this survey isn't about medical needs, it's about secondary services to make your visit more convenient. The survey's on the hospital's website right now. It asks how satisfied you are with non-medical services like the gift shop, vending machine, and pharmacy, but also is seeking input on what you think should be a part of the new building, perhaps services like dry cleaning, a hair salon, or a bookstore. The survey will be up for another 2 weeks. And as for the mega hospital itself, construction is expected to start in the summer of 2026. Well, who said you had to put the shorts away in late December? You've probably noticed those unusually warm temperatures, whether it's pulling on that spring jacket or taking in all that green grass, although it hasn't been warm enough to break any records. Some may have enjoyed those mild temperatures over the last few days, or perhaps a buzzkill for some wishing for a white Christmas.
Yeah, we went out for a walk together and then we grabbed some chili, just having a little picnic. We like being outside, whether it's cold or warm, but it's nice when it's a little bit more mild, a little bit more tolerable. We can stay out for longer, right, Zoe? Yeah.
Unbelievable. I mean, a year ago we had an ice storm and it was freezing, right? And then this year, Christmas Day, my wife was outside eating ice cream in a t-shirt. So I'm thinking, this is not a normal Christmas scene.
Yeah, remember last year? This might not be quite the Christmas scene people want either. You're looking at that blizzard that hit on December 23rd. Dozens of cars were in the ditch in Chatham, Kent, as people tried to make their way across southwestern Ontario during extreme weather. But what you might forget is that shortly after that storm hit, things started to heat up.
Remember, we had a big storm just before the holidays, disrupting everybody's plans, travel plans especially, and then it got really cold behind the system, and then we went into Christmas. But after that, it became really warm. You know, we got up to almost 12 degrees on December 30th, 2022, just a year ago. So, you know, it just goes to show you that, you know, big fluctuations do happen in Canada.
There's a surefire way to tell if someone is a true Windsorite. Listen to how they say certain French street names. CBC's Dalton Chen has more on our unique local pronunciations.
Peary Avenue?
Peary Avenue?
Peary Avenue.
Pretty much anywhere else in the world, this would obviously be Pierre Avenue. But not here in Windsor. That's not how we say it. And it's not the only French street name that we have our own spin on.
Grand Maris.
Grand Maris.
Grand Maris.
Grand Marais means big marsh in French, a reference to the area's wetland geography. Our refusal to use true French pronunciations is especially puzzling considering the area's deep French-Canadian roots. The reason why so many street names in Windsor are French is because of the families that settled the area more than 270 years ago. The French regime at the time granted land parcels to clans such as the Ouellets, the Plissiers, and the Douillots. And those names persisted despite the British conquest of the area in the 1760s. But even an expert on French-Canadian folklore isn't quite sure why Windsor French pronunciations have mutated so strangely over the years.
French is no longer the majority language there, so of course people are going to adapt pronunciations the way they see fit. But there are some kind of odd ones in there, some that can be fairly easily explained, others that kind of defy any logical explanation that I can think of.
Just how far off are Windsor pronunciations from the correct French? We asked Professor Beneteau to help us compare.
Peary Avenue.
Obviously, the correct pronunciation would be Pierre, or if you don't want to roll the R's, you can say Pierre Street. I don't know what the problem is. People can say Pierre Trudeau, people can say Pierre Poilievre. Why can't they say Pierre Avenue and Peary? I have no idea.
Langlois Avenue.
Okay, well, it should be Langlois. O-I in French is pronounced wa.
Ouellette Avenue. Yep, okay, I know that one.
Yeah, Ouellette kind of grates on my nerves. Ouellette's a little closer, but the thing is, so in Ouellette, it should be, the OU should be treated like a W.
Pelisher Street.
Okay, so the ER at the end of a word in French is pronounced A. So Pélissier. Why they make a sh sound instead of the S sound, I think it just gets kind of assimilated.
Pilette Road.
Pilette Road.
Pilette Road.
It would be Pilette.
Baby Street. Baby Street. Baby Street?
To be honest, I have heard Baby Street and Baby Tavern, but the old pronunciation is still there, and that's how it's pronounced in Old French, Babi.
Lausanne Road.
O-N, om, is what is known as a nasal vowel. Part of the sound comes out through your nose. Really, it's Lausanne.
I know how to properly say these, but Drouillard Road.
I-double-L is pronounced with like a Y sound. Yeah, so it should be Drouillard.
It might be argued that Windsor's way of saying certain French street names isn't actually incorrect. It's just local. After all, nobody thinks Boblo Island is wrong because it was once Bois Blanc. And did you know the now demolished Hébert's Taverne was once Hébert's Taverne? So maybe we can take some pride in our unique pronunciations. Except for the way everyone messes up Tecumseh. Dawson Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
Well, I think I need a better French lesson. Some foggy conditions out there tonight, and those temperatures are staying warm, at least for the next couple days. We have your weather forecast coming up after the break. cost of olive oil is expected to jump by as much as 40%. But with this product, the cause is not simply inflation. As Megan Williams shows us, farmers are facing a number of challenges, including a bacteria that's been killing centuries-old trees.
I'm standing in an olive orchard in Puglia, which is a southern Italian region, where they have these incredible olive trees called Olivi monumentali, monumental olive trees. And they're called monumental because they're giants. And they're giants because they're more than 1,000 years old. But they're also now being devastated by a plague called Zizella fastidiosa. And here's an example of it. It's a bacteria that arrived in Puglia about 10 years ago in the southern part of the region, and it's come north to where I am now, which is near a little town called Ostune, which is in the northern part of the region. And it's affected every single tree in this orchard. You can see the little brown spots. That's the sign that the tree is on its way to dying, and it takes about 5 years for these trees to die. The first trees that were hit with Zizella were right here. They're no longer. Luigi, who owns this orchard, had to cut them down to stop the bacteria from spreading to other trees. It didn't work. Now, Luigi is leaving the rest of the olive trees up because he hopes that scientists will come up with some sort of remedy. Right now, there is no remedy, but thousands of these trees have been cut down, really impacting the economy of this region, which produces 40% of Italy's olive oil, much of it exported to Canada and other countries. So when you wonder why the price of olive oil is going up, part of it is because of devastations in different parts of the country like this. Also climate change, it's windy today, it shouldn't be this windy normally, it's a balmy wind. That's another change that's come about due to climate, different winds. And that affects the trees, and it affects the bacteria and fungus that grows on them as well. So regions like Puglia are really struggling to deal with all of these different effects. And that affects the price of olive oil in Canada. Megan Williams, CBC News, Ostuni.
It was certainly an overcast Christmas. Maybe we can get some sun for the new year. Victor Paulo is here now with your local weather forecast.
Meg, it's been a wet and foggy day here in Windsor, as you know. If you had a chance to step outside and look out your window, you might be asking, is this fall or is this spring? What's going on? It definitely doesn't feel like a December day. Well, we do have some more foggy night ahead of us, and we do have some above seasonal temperatures still in store. But when that's all said and done, we do actually have a bit of snow working our way this weekend. Now, taking a look at what else we're expecting, well, it's going to be an average high right about now of 0.2 degrees, and your average low is minus 6.5. And taking a look at exactly what's happening over the Windsor area, well, this is what it's going to look like right around 11 o'clock. It's going to be foggy and cloudy. Big consistent theme between now and tomorrow morning. And when our morning starts, it's going to be a wet one to start, mixed with a bit of fog, but it'll all start to clear when we get later on in the day, as you do see a bit of clear skies in our way, but then right back to cloudy by the time we get into our Friday morning. Now, looking our way in towards Saturday, we can see that as the precipitation works itself away, the temperatures will slowly start to drop. Now, how low will they drop? Well, we'll get to that. We'll look at our 3 and 7 day forecast, but here's what your Friday night looks like. A bit of flurries and snow working its way through, mixed in with a bit of rain as well. But then as we do get towards Saturday, we're going to get a bit of a break, a bit of sunny periods as well too. And taking a look at what we're expecting tonight, well, it's going to be 6 degrees. It's going to feel like 4. It's going to be raining with a bit of fog like you do see behind me. But how much rain are we going to be expecting between, let's say, now and midday Friday? Well, we're expecting about 2 millimeters of rain. Not that much rain will be falling between now and around Friday at 4, but we do know is that what else is coming our way is a bit of snow. And that snow is going to be, again, not too much snow, but just enough for us to realize that we are still in December, and it's not necessarily fall, it's not necessarily spring. But taking a look at our 3 and 7 day forecast, we can notice that, of course, after a bit of precipitation on Thursday and Friday, the temperatures start to drop. And here's how we're going to wrap up 2023. Well, Sunday is going to be a day where it's a high of 2, feeling like minus 3. And we do get closer towards your start of 2024. It's going to be a high of 0 and a low of minus 5. And slowly but sure, the daytime highs get right back up there. High of 2 degrees on Tuesday, high of 4 degrees on Wednesday. But the lows stay consistently low, but not as low as it should be this time of year. But until then, you know what? Stay dry, Windsor. Windsor, and most importantly, stay warm. And until then, over to you, Meg.
That is a promising New Year's forecast. Thanks so much for that, Victor. An inheritance gift unique to others is now gaining a following. We have that story coming up. A South Korean actor known for his role in the Oscar-winning movie Parasite has died. Lee Sun-keon was found dead in a car at a park in Seoul. Police were called after it was reportedly left home after writing a concerning note. The 48-year-old was under investigation for illicit drug use. His agency says there is, quote, no way to contain the sorrow and despair. Canada pummeled Latvia 10-0 in a preliminary game at the World Junior Hockey Championship today. A Canadian scored in the game in Sweden. Macklin Celebrini led the way with a goal and 4 assists. Carson Raykop scored 2 goals, including a picture-perfect one in the second period.
Celebrini poked at the Raykop. Oh, nifty move by Carson Raykop. Walks right in, scores! Oh, what a goal by Carson Raykop! That's what he does.
The Canadians outshot their opponents 41-22 in the lopsided contest. They have 2 wins and no losses at the tournament. They beat Finland 5-2 yesterday. Canada will take on Sweden on Friday. An annual boat race in Australia has a brave new competitor taking part this year. Ollie the cat is the first feline yachtsman in the 78-year history of the race, which started today in Sydney.
He's an experienced sailor. He's spent several years on the boat now. He's been to New Zealand and back.
His feline is no stranger to water. He and his owner have been sailing around Australia for the past 5 years. The buddies are sailing on the oldest boat in the 1,200-kilometer race. They hope to arrive in Hobart, Tasmania on New Year's Day. We leave you tonight with a story about a unique inheritance. A Barrie man received 2 miniature horses from his mother. The pair, named Oreo and Ember, are now gaining local celebrity status. We joined Chris Anderson and his horses on one of their recent adventures.
No, come here. I gotta push the button, honey. Come here. I was like, Ma, you can't have a horse in the city. This doesn't make sense. But I was so wrong. I'm so glad that this is what happened. I was so wrong and she was so right. It's been a fantastic experience and I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm glad they're here and I'll never forget it. As long as I live, I'll never forget it. It's been a great time. Oh, there we go. Come on, girls. Hi, I'm Chris, and this is Oreo. And this is Ember. The 2 horses originally belonged to my mother. My mother had a deep love for horses and she wanted to have a horse. My father bought her a horse before they were married. She had to sell that horse. Here we are 50 years later and she decided that she wanted to have a horse before she passed away. That was her big dream. Before I go to heaven, she told me I want to own a horse. And 1 turned into 2. So you're looking at my inheritance here.
It's a pretty wonderful inheritance.
It is. I know. I always joke, her dad left her a house and she left me 2 mini horses, and I think I got the better deal. You want to hold the horses, huh? Hold on. And you take them for a walk, and you meet all these interesting people here along the waterfront. The smiles are just so genuine. I mean, very rarely do we smile anymore and really mean it. But when people meet these 2, you can tell. They're truly excited and truly very happy to meet them. So it's a wonderful experience. I want to go back in the car. And I'm telling you, on a nicer day, they'd already have like just half a dozen people at least standing there with them. Apparently, it's a 2-horse town. Yes, very unique. The only 2 horses here, definitely a showstopper.
My dog is like the height of my dog.
Yeah. Yep. I ride my bike with them, so sometimes we're on the road and buses are going past and motorcycles, and they don't care. They've been here since they were 6 months old, each one of them. So the city is their life. They don't know anything any different.
They seem like family members.
Well, they are, and it's not just love for them or love for me, but love for the community as well, and that's what I've realized by having the only 2 horses in town. People love horses. I didn't know what was going to happen when I first started walking these horses. All I knew is they couldn't stand in the backyard for 30 years. Being a city kid, I figured, you walk your dog, why wouldn't you just walk your horse? They need exercise as well. That's where it all began. And then the response from the community, everybody loving them and enjoying them so much. I had no idea that this is what it was going to be.
Well, that's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can go to our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. You can also download the CBC News app for stories that matter most to you. And don't forget to watch The National tonight at 9 on CBC. Thanks so much for tuning in. Looking forward to seeing you back here tomorrow night.